Hey y'all, it's Shelly, and I am Scrappy Longstocking. Today I am sharing with you the week of September 14th through the 20th in my 2025 Project Life album. I am using the September 2025 Stories by the Month kit and some pieces from the Color Storyteller kit. I'm pretty sure it's called Color. And then I'm also using some papers from my stash. I decided to trim down many of my photos this week so that they're smaller than the 3x3 and 3x4 pockets, just so that I could have some colorful papers as background. Initially, I had printed them out that way so that I could use some additional supplies from the kits, like using cards as backgrounds and maybe the packaging or some of the papers, or not the paper. Yes, the papers. Because I also bought the digital kit. And so you can print out the packaging as papers. And I did like the packaging on that. But instead of using the kit for that, I went ahead and grabbed some fall themed papers from an 8.5 by 11 paper pad that I had gotten from Joann's, which had papers for all the seasons through the year. It wasn't necessarily monthly, but it has papers for winter, summer, spring, and fall. So as a general rule, I start with photos. I usually print them out on 8.5 by 11 papers, and then I cut them down to size, whatever that size might be. And then I scrapbook top to bottom, left to right, and Sunday to Saturday. So I start the same way a calendar starts, just so that it's easier for me to keep the days straight. And I do like the idea of starting a week on a Sunday. It's a good day of the week. Sunday is the fun day for me. Let's see. Initially I was trying to just make things fit, but my problem became these 3x3 pockets. I didn't want to cut off too much of the cards. Because I wanted them to be usable, like the vellum number cards I wanted to use along with the details cards. And looking back, I could have reprinted them smaller, but I did not think about that in the time. In the time that I had while I was putting these pages together, I really just wanted to scrapbook, and I did not want to print a whole bunch of things out and redo a bunch of things. But now that I think about it, that's a good idea. And when I print out the digital image for my notebook, I will go ahead and make a note that for 3x3 pockets, I can use the digital kit to shrink it down. Hindsight is 2020. I have recently had quite a bit of these, like when I was doing my planning for the last kit. I couldn't think of anything to do, but looking back, I found a few things to do. Sometimes it just happens that way. You look back at what you did and you're like, oh, I could have done it differently, or I could have done it better. And with these sorts of projects where they're a year long and there's just so many pieces, so there's 12 months of pieces, going back and redoing something more than once will just take up too much time. So just learning from that and moving forward. So I just went through a bunch of the different pieces and decided not to use most of the September Stories by the Month kit, although I really wanted to use it. And the Studio Calico kit didn't work for me either. So I went ahead and just moved on. I spent a lot of time hemming and hawing about that, but I just moved on to let's place the photos and figure it out later. Because I don't want to start with the project. I want to start with the photos. So the top photo, I don't think it's the top photo now. The photo is the weight of waiting. And it was just an encouragement. It was just an encouragement that I took a screenshot of online. And it's just a statement that says the waiting season is not wasted time. God is refining you, shaping you, and preparing you for what you've been praying for. And then there's more, but then it goes through Isaiah 40:31. But those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. And then the second photo is Artemis. I had taken a day off work, I believe. Either that or I went shopping after work one day. I can't remember. My journaling might tell me. But there's a picture of Artemis, and so she's sitting next to a laundry basket with a pumpkin-shaped rug sticking out of it. I was at Hobby Lobby, I was checking out, and there was a pumpkin-shaped rug right at the front of the door, and I had been looking for one for 2 years. I hadn't remembered that Hobby Lobby sold them, because every time I went, they didn't have them. I thought they did, but they didn't have them. So she's sitting next to it. And then I had a picture of Rosie in the second row left. There's a verse image for Isaiah 48. And it says, the grass withers and the flowers fade, but the word of God stands forever. I love that verse. It was very encouraging the day that it showed up on my verse of the day. The next thing I did was I went ahead and used 2 3x3 cards documenting September. It looks like they're the exact same card. So I printed them out, and then there's one on the right-hand side. I think it's the actual card, 3x4 card from the kit that says documenting September. So that brings some continuity across the 2 pages. But the first 3x3 card is one that is journaling for Sunday and Monday. And Sunday says, up early to serve at church today, parentheses, training for coffee service. And then a chat with Cody and scrapbooking. Monday is court in Washita County today, and shopping fun plus fall. So apparently it was after work from court, because when I have to start out on the road at say 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., I'll do a full 8-hour day, but that means starting that early means I get off early, which means I can do fun things like stop at Hobby Lobby. And then on that page is the second documenting September card in a 3x3 size, and it just has Tuesday. Oh, it looks like I did not journal. I did journal. Okay. So Tuesday, I heard a podcast today and decided to add protein drink to my morning walk. New York Times article about AI God. The devil will create an idol out of anything. And then K-Love. And those are on there. That journaling is on there because there was a screenshot in the third row of my left-hand page is a screenshot where I was reading a New York Times article where people were using AI and using it as if they're having an actual conversation with God. And it says, like, the screenshot is, "Hi, God." And the response is, "Greeting, my child. The future is in God's merciful hands. Do you trust his divine plan?" And then the response is, "Amen, yes." And then, like, there's this whole conversation where people are using it instead of talking to God, they're talking to a computer as God. And I was like, wow, that's very, very much setting off alarm bells for me. The next one is a photo of a screenshot of K-Love and me interacting with their website. And then the next photo is a podcast where Mel Robbins, like most women know her, I think at this point, where she had an interview with a women's exercise fitness doctor. And I listened to what that doctor had to say, and then I reserved her book on, what's it called? Libby, the library app. So then the bottom row of the left-hand page starts with my Tuesday journaling in the 3x3 card, and then 2 photo screenshots from Instagram. One is a quote from C.S. Lewis, and it says, "It costs God nothing as far as we know to create nice things, but to convert rebellious wills cost him crucifixion." And then the second one said, "The enemy thought he had me, but Jesus said, you are mine." And so one is just that C.S. Lewis quote. And then the second one is a Christian song that I really like. So in the middle, starting out, I knew I had printed too many photos, because I want to say it was Sunday. No, it was Saturday. So the last day of the week this week was a conference that my church held at one of our campuses, and it was called Women Conference. And for the first year, I've gone for 2 of the last 3 years. This was my 4th year in the area. So what I did was I took a piece of paper that I had printed from, I want to say, the fun kit. These Storyteller kits are getting mixed up in my mind. So one of the prior Storyteller kits was this blue paper with a geometric pattern, and I had printed it on an 8x8 size. And then I backed it with this paper from the color Storyteller kit, and it has watching, listening, making, eating, loving, reading on it. And so what I knew that in order to include these photos, I wanted to have I would need to have an insert. Well, I didn't want to add a page protector, and I thought it might be fun to just try and use some of the pieces of this Storyteller kit the Storyteller kits to use up some of that product, and then to just make an out of the page protector insert in the album. I'm kind of iffy on how it turned out, but bottom line is it's good enough for good enough. So I grabbed the September Joys vellum card to put on this page, and 2 of the floral die cuts from the September kit. Initially, you have already watched me cut up the number 9 to put in my title card pocket at the top left of the page. Because I choose this September Joys 3x4 card, I grabbed the number 9 from the kit that has the same font. So that the font matches on the left, and then that gave me the opportunity to match that, and then use a different piece of the brand new kit instead of the 9 from last year's kit. So that's what I went ahead and did. And then I just put my groupies that we took. We took 2 groupies during this day. And so I put those 2 photos there. And then I had taken 3 or 4 photos on the horizontal format during the 2-day session. It was 1-day session, but it was morning and afternoon. So I had taken a couple of those. And so I just arranged them on the page. It's not quite straight. It's not perfect, but I let it go because there's no good reason to try and make this whole thing perfect. And then, so because that was Saturday, and Saturday is the end of my, is the end of my week, the bottom row on the right-hand page, is a screenshot of the conference sessions on day 2, and then a card where the church had, in their advertising for women, they had given out this 4x4 card. Well, I cut it down to a 3x4 and stuck it in that pocket. And then on the bottom row is my journaling for Saturday for that. And it just says, so much goodness in this day. AM conference session, then lunch, plus walking around and ice cream, then evening session, and a talk from Jenny Allen. So the church got Jenny Allen to come and speak. She's a famous Christian speaker, if there are famous and Christians. I think she's famous. I know who she is, and I was just over the moon that she came and spoke to us. But my journaling, the additional journaling that I used for Wednesday and Saturday, was in the egg-shaped this moment circles that were in the September kit. So there was one on a 4x6 that was two of those egg shapes on one 4x6 card. I just cut them in half and used one for Wednesday at the top left and then Saturday at the bottom right. So my second page starts with the journaling for Wednesday. It says Wednesday, Office plus MDT meeting, which is a multidisciplinary team. That's what MDT stands for. A ton of work to do at the office, Bible study in the evening, and I love it. The topic is so relevant. Then my in the middle pocket of the top row on the right side is my screenshot of my steps, and my steps were up, looks like close to 10,000. Then there's a screenshot of the book I was reading. I might have read 2 books this week. Usually it's 1 or 2. Of the Blueberry Muffin Murder by Joanne Fluke. I'm going through her series, and Hallmark has a movie series that they have on their channel, and I've watched the movies and now I'm reading the books. And I'm also intermittently going back and watching more of the movies as I'm reading the books. The next thing in the second row, I had a meeting at the office and I ordered pizza for my team. And so that's on the second row. Then the next one is the documenting September card with Thursday and Friday journaling. And it says team meeting in office today. I got pizza and cookies to share. Lots of changes in work schedules right now. Friday is afternoon court and finished work a bit early, home and not logged on. I scrapbooked and recorded a few videos, pre-registered for a women's conference. Okay. Oh, because I finished on time for court. I was like, why wouldn't I log on? But if I finish on time, then I don't need to log on. Okay, so then there's a picture of my pre-registration for Saturday's conference. So if you pre-register, you get a QR code, and then you just have to scan the QR code rather than do a full check-in at the conference. And then again, like I said, the bottom row is just my photos for the conference itself. And I noticed while I was editing this video that there is a lot of the video where my pages are off the camera. And I think in the videos after this, I think I have figured that part out. So, in the coming videos, I have figured out how to make sure the pages are on top of or are in focus better. So instead of using photos on that page for the insert with the color Storyteller kit, I went ahead and just did journaling. So for watching, I wrote YouTube. Allie Edwards posted her last 5 weeks of Project Life. And then listening, Mel Robbins, Women's Health plus Exercise, Making Changes. Making Project Life pages for July, August, and September, plus the travel album for Branson and Biloxi. Reading, I wrote Joanne Fluke, Hannah Swenson Mysteries. Loving was taking care of myself these days by getting up and treadmill and eating well. And then eating pizza from Pizza Hut and reminiscing about studying for the bar exam. Because the ordering Pizza Hut made me remember, and I told my team that while I was studying for the bar exam, I would order a large pizza and then from Pizza Hut, and I would do it about once a week so that I wouldn't have to cook and take time away from studying. So I could just order the pizza, eat it for a couple of days, and then switch over to Chinese food and then eat that for a couple of days. It was not a healthy food situation. But I made it through. And I I am much healthier now than I was then. But I told my team the story of that. And then so my team is lawyers, so we talked about a few things while we were at this meeting and having lunch. And it was a nice discussion. I had some, what are they called? Puffy stars from Allie Edwards on my table, trying to use up a little bit of my stash and maybe do some additional embellishment on my pages that I would not normally do. And so what I did instead was go ahead and use up the product, and I grabbed the orange, what are these? Word phrase stickers for September. And then I added a word phrase sticker to some of the photos, and some of those photos I added puffy stars to. So on the picture of Artemis, I have a word phrase sticker that says "this moment." On the picture of Rosie, I put my favorite and I put a star there. And then on the picture of the AI God, I put currently, because it's a current event. And then on my photo of Caleb, I put the simple things. And then on my 2 screenshots from Instagram, I added a star to the pink one. And then to the orange one, I added 2 smaller stars, and then trust this for a word phrase sticker. On the right hand side, on my blueberry muffin murder, I added loving this, and then 2 puffy stars. And then for my pre-check-in screenshot, I added here for this as a word phrase sticker and a larger yellow star. This set of stars went really well with the papers that I pulled from my my paper pad. And then it also went really well with this September Stories by the Month. With the yellow is spot on for the yellow. It's like an orangey yellow that's in this September kit. And then one of the additional things I decided to do, instead of printing out part of the kit for the packaging, printing it as a paper, I went ahead and just cut up the envelope because it was right there. So I cut it up and used it as the background. I used it as the background for my my number 9. And you can see there that the 9 matches the joys. I just think it looks a little bit better. And then I did remember my stamp this week for my my date stamp. So all right, folks, I very much enjoyed hanging out with you today. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. And go ahead and press that like button if you want the algorithm to know that you want to see more videos like this. And go ahead and press the subscribe button if you want the algorithm to know that you want to see more of my videos in particular. So I hope you got some good ideas, or maybe just even some entertainment out of this. And I will see y'all around the internet. Bye.